This morning we have Norman Sarrasin and Billy Milne with us to recount for us some history of the Nipigon Elks. Bill is a charter member. Norman's got a few notes there with some dates so that we can get some information on when the Elks came, why it came maybe, and some of the activities that the Elks has done for Nipigon. Okay, Norman and Bill.
Well, nearest I can recall, there were a couple of members. There were Dick Went and Frank Atwell. They belonged to the Thunder Bay Lodge at that time, and they kind of pulled it along, and it has come a long way since. Definitely, with the fish derbies and everything that they put on over the start of it, and it has done a lot for the community, not only here but everywhere.
The lodge started in 1950, as Bill mentioned, with Frank Atwell being the first local president. At the time, the history included the startup of the minor hockey program, the running of the Polly Lake Fish Derby, and there were some other projects that they were doing in the community at the time. Since then, the minor hockey program has evolved to include the Nipigon minor hockey program, and within the last 10 years has also taken under its wing the Junior B hockey team that's here. Since 1950, when you take a look at all the numbers of all the kids, we've had over, if I could just refer to my notes for a second, in excess of 8,000 hockey players have gone through our system since 1950. But what goes with that are the volunteers behind the scenes. Volunteerism, just in the minor hockey program since 1950, has incorporated over 250,000 hours just in the hockey program alone.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work, a lot of man hours.
Norman, do
Yes.
Elks lodges in other communities also sponsor hockey?
I don't know, to tell you the truth, I don't know of any that do. They have other programs that they do, other lodges in the country. Some of them will work with the schools, with their basketball program, whatever.
Okay.
Thunder Bay has a hockey program of its own. They're called the Elks 82s.
Oh, right.
And they are the only ones that I know of.
Yeah, the only ones in the district, anyway.
Yeah, in our district. We used to have
Geraldton
used to, but they couldn't have enough members to keep their lodge going. There is, I guess the rivalry is still there between the Elks of Nipigon and the Elks of Thunder Bay. That is good for everybody.
Right.
But I say the volunteerism, that is there with the hockey program. The Elks have also run, or have taken over the operation of the lead in the senior citizen supper locally. Next spring will be our 50th annual. In the past, there's been the JCs. Yeah. They were the ones that started it. The Nipigon Lions Club. We are now partnered with the Rotary and the Legion to put on this supper, and we're looking forward to that 50th. The other thing we have in the last 10 years, I guess, we've also partnered with the Rotary for the highway cleanup. Yeah. That happens every spring, and that's been working well. If you talk to people within the community, there are two things that the lodge here is known for: the hockey program and the senior supper. Yeah. Those seem to be the two major items.
I can recall the times that we had the fish derby at Polly Lake that you could hardly find a place to walk around, never mind park, because it was just loaded with everyone.
And so was the fishing done just at Polly Lake?
Pretty well. We could fish just about anywhere, but as far as I can remember, I don't think there was any locking into Polly Lake.
Yeah. Right.
You could bring fish there anyway, because I had a few pictures laying around home. I looked up in the past, and people from all over the district used to come to that. It was quite to do.
Right. So can either of you remember where the Elks would have met when it first started?
Yeah, we used to meet in the school as we
Yeah, the notes I have seen, it was the school, and then they built their own building.
Right.
And unfortunately that building,
Burned down.
yeah, we lost it with fire. Then we rebuilt the building. And then in 1986,
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
when the economy tanked, we ended up not being able to maintain our building. And so unfortunately we had to sell the building. And when you lose your identity like that, you also lose part of the identity in the community. I think we are slowly building that back up again because of the programs are still here. So at the present time, we have a office that we use in the curling club, and that is our base of operation now. We have been meeting around the community at different times, just to give our exposure. We try and have supper meetings, so we'll hold them at different restaurants, and again, just for exposure in the community. The last while, we've been able to partner with the town with the use of their boardroom. So most of our meetings are now being held there as part of the community atmosphere. And that seems to be working well.
So at the height of the Elks Lodge, would you have had 30 members, or?
Well, when it started, oh yes, we had a good gang when we first started.
I've seen pictures, and it
Yeah.
looks like there was a
There was
fair
a good
number.
crowd, a good crowd. I
Right.
can't remember how many names were on the first,
I think there was in excess of 50
somewhere in that
on the
neighborhood.
first chart.
Yeah,
The
Okay.
first year.
charter members, because it was really great.
We've now kind of settled in approximately 30, down a touch, back and forth. We, like any other organization, we're having problems recruiting young people. The thinking is different, but there are some that are willing to step forward. Our program, our lodge bylaws, do not make it necessary for someone to be a member in order to volunteer. So we do have a lot of the volunteers.
I think you find today there's more for the younger people to do than there was at our time, because the population, when at that time I would say it would be around 1,000 people, maybe,
Right.
maybe even less.
Right.
Then when I was quite young, there was two sides to this town. There was this side and then Fintown, and across the tracks. That's what it was called, because mostly with Finnish people that had come from their home country to stay here. And
Because I'm thinking when you were saying 50, that's a lot when you think there was also all those other organizations at
Yes.
the same time.
Yes.
So there was a lot of volunteering when you think of the Legion, the Elks, the Lions, and the Kinsmen in some of those
Yeah.
days. Then we had a lot of volunteers in this community.
But there was not, going back to at that time, Glenna, there was not a lot of things for people to do. You used to see people get up on Sunday and get all dressed up and walk back and forth on the CPR track or sidewalks and down to the bridge, and it was a big do, because everybody used to get dressed up just to walk on Sundays, things like that.
We had, about 20 years ago, 15 to 20 years ago, we tried to address the problem of the lowering membership by making a decision to, instead of doing 20 things, a little bit of each, that we said, okay, what can we do well? And we narrowed our scope of what our lodge does. And we decided to spend our energies on those instead of overlapping with some of the other organizations. And by concentrating on the hockey program, the senior supper, trying to raise funds for helping children. Our national charity is for hearing impairment.
Okay.
So we try and raise some funds for that. And we do have programs that will help local people that have lost their homes because of fire, for example. We try and help with that. And those are the behind the scene things that the organization does.
Do you have a fundraising that you do during the year?
Well, our major fundraising at the moment is our collaboration with the Fall Fishing Festival. And the revenue that is raised there, we get a portion of that. but again, because of we have tried the Catch the Ace, but because of the size of the community, we find it more expedient to partner with other organizations to do projects. And when you partner, the percentage that you get is based on your partnership. So we've been able to do that. We have a reputation at Regina, which is our head office, for being the community or the club to contact if you want information on how to work with other organizations. That come to light about 2 years ago when the national president come through. That was at the national convention, that comment had been made. So we have a good reputation with the Rotary and the Legion Club, this type of thing, just for that reason.
Right. So when I do the calculations, then Bill's been a member for 69 years.
Yes.
You're 50, and this is 19, so
Yeah.
it's been you're one of the longer time members, I suppose, in many of the organizations of yours.
Yes, across the board, there is the odd member that has exceeded 70. I think there was one in Regina that had exceeded 80 years as a member.
I got a long ways to go, eh?
So what's another 10 years, Bill? What's another 10 years? But it's good to have those older members that we rely on for that stability and that anchor.
I can interrupt and add that it sure did a lot for the younger people like me at that time to get our lives organized and into the way people should live. You know what I mean? Help one another out and stuff like that. And it has been very, very has left me with a very pleased feeling being a member of the lodge that time.
And at one time you were the head honcho in the Elks here?
I've been up to the district deputy, and then I was in the provincial association for quite some time, and I had to drop out because it was a little bit too much for me to carry on with.
Right. Well, that's congratulations that you've stuck it out that long and shared all your knowledge
With
with the other
Bill's
people.
comment about helping others, that was one reason why, as a lodge, it didn't take us very long to decide to give and to help Deacon Dave when he started with the Toys for Kids.
Oh, right.
Within the one meeting discussion, we were backing him and that particular project, and we still do that.
Right. And that's nice because that's been carried on now by other people.
Yes.
So that's a project that initiated
And
and as you say, partnerships make a big difference.
Yes.
during my term of office, I've been to many cities in the convention times, and it's added a lot of good experiences in my life. Been right clean across Canada, right from Quebec to Vancouver to the yearly meetings, the Grand Lodge conventions every year, and they are interesting, and you meet people from all over the country, and it shows you just how people can work when they want to work together.
Right. Is Elks is it in the States as well as Canada and Ireland?
There is an Elks organization in the United States. They are a separate entity.
Okay.
But there is a lot of, if I walk, or Bill and I individually or together walk into an Elks Lodge into the United States, there is no questions asked. They accept our membership card,
Okay.
just as if we are a member of their lodge.
You're welcome anyway.
Welcome anywhere, and vice versa.
Right.
The Canadian Elks, their mandate is about the same as the one in the United States. We have some differences. The one difference that started in Canada about 8 years ago was the use of lodges' parking facilities for membership travel. People traveling across the country, they could just stop and stay in the parking lot of the lodge, use power, whatever they needed. And it was just one more way to recognize other members in the country.
And Americans would be able to do
Yes.
that as well.
Same here.
Yes.
Represent. Oh,
Vice
very
versa.
good.
The convention, the national convention, is held in different locations on a yearly basis. This year it was in Gander, Newfoundland. Our home base is in Regina as a national.
Yeah.
I did get word this morning, Bill, that the national president will be coming through here the second week of December.
Yeah.
Over the last 10 years, we've had 8 national presidents stop in to visit us. And it's always a kind of a visit, okay, what are you guys doing now? Kind of question.
Right.
And what we've done the last 2 years, we've done the same partnering situation. We've invited the Rotary, we invite the Legion to come and join us when the president comes. And we just sit down as a community and visit with him. So it's this year I'm hoping that he's available for an idea I have in my head. Further news to come, I guess.
You're going to keep that a secret for
Keep
now.
that one a secret. Unconfirmed information.
But then you can let us know that after the fact.
Yes, because we will be contacting you for what the idea is.
Whether it works out or not.
That's good. I just think that people appreciate, especially the hockey program and the seniors program. As you say, that's what you're known for. And people do appreciate.
It has done so much for the lives of these young children.
Yeah.
Gives them something to work on,
And it is nice that the girls are now included because
definitely.
they weren't at the beginning. And we have so many girls who are going on in the hockey program. It's really nice to see, boys and girls. But it is nice to see that Thunder Bay's got the big team that those girls can achieve the skills to go to.
Definitely.
And backed by the Elks.
And we try to help as much as we can any family that needs assistance to provide their children with hockey. There has to be a commitment on the part of the parents,
Right.
but we do try to ensure that every child gets a chance.
I wouldn't doubt, Norman, that if you had all the figures added up and be a tremendous amount of money that's gone through there.
I wouldn't
Plus
even
all
want
the-
to guess.
Plus all the free labor.
With all what the budget has been for the hockey program, you can just imagine when you're dealing with 150 kids playing hockey, what the committee budget on an average has been over the years, and you multiply that by 70. I didn't go to school long enough to count that high. It just the numbers they would just be staggering for a
It's
community
pretty
this
good.
size to have that kind of
And
support.
that's a big commitment. I
That's a
believe,
big commitment.
Definitely,
Yes.
definitely. But it's really, really been good for the kids.
Yeah, and because of the program being held, or that we hold, is held in such good regard in the community, we get a lot of support from the community to run the hockey program financially, this type of thing. So we're able to keep our rates low.
Okay, well, very enlightening, and kudos to the Elks organization for their maintaining the work in the community. And thank you very much, Norman and Bill.